Hello, everybody. This is Megan,
And this is Lana.
and welcome to Tea Time Crimes.
Halloween edition. Stretch out these.
Hello, welcome back.
Hello, girls and ghouls.
And boys and booze. Is that good?
Oh, yeah,
I don't know.
that's a good one.
All right. What's up? What's new? Where are you at? You got any furniture?
Yeah, I would say I have a desk.
Do you have a chair?
No, a folding chair. So we're
right.
we're making it work.
So the desk can be used?
The desk can be used. I need a little pillow because the folding chair is a little low.
Yeah. You always needed pillows in your work chairs. That was always a thing.
Which is weird because I'm tall.
I don't know. So do you sleep under the desk like George Costanza or?
Well, when Chris finally got here, we now have our guest room queen, and so we're not sleeping on an air mattress anymore, which is so much better. I mean,
Yeah.
air mattress is fine when you're by yourself, but yeah, like with another person.
Oh,
it's
with
like
another person?
one person rolls and the other gets launched into the ceiling, and it's like
you do not have the experience of having to share an air mattress with Brad. I just want to say that.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's impossible. Like, I was like, oh, well, this is not that bad. An air mattress by myself. Like, you know, they've come a long way. They're comfortable, easy to pump up now.
Yeah.
But no, once Chris got here, I was like, this is not going to work. So we just have the queen on the floor right now. We're going to look at frames today. We're ordering in a king, you know, all that stuff.
Nice. Yeah, when Brad gets on or off an air mattress, I hit the ceiling.
I can only imagine.
Just gone. Just gone like a cartoon.
Poor Sophie, never gonna survive that.
She doesn't even try. She knows.
Oh dear.
When you said that, you said we brought our guest room queen. It made me think you had just a queen that you brought with you. And she's here. She's arrived. She's on retainer.
Always with us.
Yeah. Just
to
give the perfect touch of royalty.
Hell yeah.
All right, great. Well, I've got another Halloween-ish episode for you.
So I'm gonna have to earmuff for half of it.
No,
are you ever gonna do that again?
No,
you were just alone on that episode.
I don't think so because it was too much for me. I think you'll be fine with this one.
Okay.
But did you bring a fall tea?
I actually have a super special one today. One of our special listeners in Colorado sent me this whole very sweet care package with a journal and a teacup and tea. She's been hunting some tea down that I haven't tried. She's been trying really hard. So this is the mug. I'll send a picture on IG too.
I'll describe it. I hope it's a mushroom.
It is.
Yeah.
Or it's a very sick appendage.
It says, "I'm a fun guy."
Yeah.
Like fungus.
And we're on the same page. It was like a variety pack of tea. And one of the teas, which I'm having today, is a fall tea. So she's like, not until September 1st. And we're like, I got you, girl.
Another one.
I got you.
The rule makers.
It's a very, very sweet package. And thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So today we have Piper and Leaf Tea Company Sweetie Pie Chai. It's an herbal tea, so no caffeine, which might have been a mistake on my part.
I don't like when chai and herbal are together.
I think it's okay.
Well, I don't like it. So
well, you know what? write them an email. Okay.
Well, I mean, I understand other people might have it.
And so the description is a cream dolloped slice of spiced pie.
I don't know how I feel.
Oh my God, now I want pumpkin pie. The ingredients are sweet potato, cinnamon, tulsi, ginger, licorice root, clove, and cassia oil. I was already on the fence. And it was a long steep, 7-minute steep.
Yeah. This is not for me. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Sweet potato. Ugh.
Do you not like sweet potatoes generally?
No, and I certainly don't like to soak them in water and then drink it.
Wait a second. Wouldn't you get those sweet potato fries at that vegan restaurant in LA?
I'm sorry, but if you fry something, of course I'm going to eat it. But if you just...
It's the same texture.
Nah, if you
Sweet potato fries are the worst fries. I said it.
No, waffle.
I said it.
Big fat crinkle fries are the worst ones.
Okay, fair.
With all it's just a whole potato inside.
Crinkle cut get way too much showtime. Cut them from the menu. Change it.
No good. I mean, if I just wanted to eat the inside of a potato, I'd get a baked potato.
Which is also the worst form of potato, in my opinion. Sorry.
It's okay. I didn't make it.
Okay.
I didn't invent potatoes or bake them.
Anyways, it's going to be interesting to drink out of this.
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to get the top of that mushroom head to work well.
Okay. Keep it PG. We're a PG podcast. No, we're not. Ooh. Oh my God. It smells like fall. It is divine.
Decaying leaves and sweet potatoes from the garden.
Correct.
And
some cinnamon. Obviously no body. It's like a falling leaf from a tree, but it's been like zapped with some special powers of cinnamon and clove. And so it falls, no body, just kind of in the wind, drops on your tongue. But then it's like, you know what? I'm going to leave you something to remember him by and put a little dash of licorice. And then it disappears. It's quite nice. I suggest this tea. I recommend it. And I'm going to give it and this is all hyphenated except for the last word, okay? Leaf on the wind, thumbs up.
Nice. It was a very poetic review.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm back. Sorry. I don't know where this energy is coming from because there's no caffeine in this.
All right, then.
All right, hit me with your best shot. Actually, don't. Hit me with your weakest.
And on that note, the barn of corpses. No, just kidding. Okay.
Oh, my God.
No. 53-year-old Howard Wyning went missing July 21st, 1923 from his farm in Pennsylvania. And I think it's Wyning, spelled with a W. So that's what I'm going with. On August 2nd, 1923, two men noticed an unpleasant and pungent odor coming from a cornfield in Bern Township.
No.
Yeah. Upon investigation, Mr. Gerhardt and Mr. Ruth found a clothed but badly decomposing body of a man.
Ugh. My worst fear.
Right away, the coroner was notified. And upon visual inspection, the skull and finger bones were exposed. The man was missing his hat, and a broken bottle lay near his body. His pockets were turned inside out.
It's a robbery!
With nothing to identify him, the body was buried in the county cemetery. The identity listed as unknown. The cause of death, unknown.
What?
A preliminary examination showed trauma to the skull, but due to the advanced state of the body, the coroner was unable to determine if the man had been assaulted. On August 7th, Miss Edna Wyning came in with several friends and family asking to see the body that had been found.
No, I don't want to see it.
Because since July 21st, her husband had been missing and left her alone with their 8 children. At this point, the body had already been buried. So it had to be exhumed and then shown to Edna for visual verification.
Gross.
Yeah. Although the body was decomposed, Edna was able to positively confirm this was her husband Howard because he had a gold tooth and he was still wearing the clothes that he'd gone missing in. Once the victim was positively identified as Howard, police started to hear theories that a murder had occurred. He's found in a creepy cornfield, which is Halloween enough, but that isn't why he died. Something must have happened. So detectives revisit the crime scene, talk to several witnesses in town before visiting the Wyning house, where they bring Lloyd Schlappig, a farmhand. It's a perfect name if you're a farmhand, I feel.
Slapping a pig.
Yeah. Who lived with the Wynings, down to the station for questioning.
Uh-oh.
The officers immediately commented several times on Lloyd's vibe. He was very nervous, very anxious.
It's a living person. We always know they get mixed up in the wrong shit, good or bad.
I know. Those borders don't know what's coming.
Real quick question.
Yeah.
Is Edna the name of Lucy's friend in Lucy?
What?
And then
First off, this sounds relevant. Second, do you mean I Love Lucy?
I just wanted to say Lucy Lou over and over, and I was like, that's not right.
Do you mean I Love Lucy?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
What's not
Edna's from?
Isn't it Ethel?
Yeah. There you go.
Right.
Oh, great show. Recommend it.
Okay. It wasn't a left turn. Gave me whiplash. So Lloyd's in the back of a police car. This is obviously not a relaxing situation, but they're bringing Lloyd in for questioning after they've canvassed the neighborhood, and folks in town have painted quite a picture. There are rumors that Lloyd and Edna, Howard's wife, right, were having an affair, and that the two men had been arguing over this because they all live in the same house.
Oh, no.
It's a rough time. The setup here is that what I think would be unusual today, I don't think we would see this very often, but Howard owned the 100-plus acre farm, but he worked at Parrish Manufacturing Plant. This meant he needed somebody to work the farm while he worked his day job.
Okay.
So he hired Lloyd to run it in his absence. But things were not happy in the Wyning household. Howard, who was at least 20 years older than Edna, was most likely an alcoholic. He at least liked to drink quite a bit, and this was the source of many of their fights. During these arguments, Lloyd, who's in his early 20s, so he's, 23, Edna's 33, Howard's 53. That's what we're dealing with. He would take Edna's side, which infuriated Howard.
Oh, I'm sure.
So there's obviously a lot going on here that's hard to fully know exactly. At the best, you have a renter who is also your employee who's butting into your marital arguments.
Yeah.
At the worst, you have
He's taking her side another way.
You're having your wife's boyfriend butt into your marital affairs.
She's tapping that tree.
Oh boy. And also there is a lot of, they don't say it obviously in these papers, but there's a lot of questions about if Howard was abusive to Edna, and that's where Lloyd stepped in.
Oh.
Which is slightly different than him just saying, hey, you shouldn't drink so much.
Yeah.
Edna doesn't like it, to stepping in if Howard were being abusive, but still, it's either way you slice it, nobody's loving that situation.
No.
But whatever the truth is, it seems that Lloyd was the one who was most upset, almost like Howard was interfering with him and Edna. What? Because several different people were quoted in the Reading Times as overhearing Lloyd say, quote, if he, meaning Howard, interferes again between his wife and me, I'll get him and get him right.
What the fuck?
I know.
Like, just, bro, listen to yourself say that sentence out loud.
I know.
Yikes.
Anyway, with this story, police have now established a pretty clear motive for Lloyd. But is there any evidence? Well, on the day that Howard disappeared, Pearl Wyning, which is Howard and Edna's daughter, who's listed as 14, she told the following story. Pearl said goodbye to her father Saturday morning. Edna drove him to work. Later that day, Lloyd told the family he was heading into town to pick up Howard from work at the plant, which he did every day. When Lloyd returned home, he was alone. No Howard. And Lloyd was also without a shirt all of a sudden. And he also had bloodstains on his underwear. Now, I don't know if she meant undershirt, because I don't know why she's seeing his underwear. But anyway, he had bloodstains on him. Lloyd explained he'd been in a car accident, and Howard did not return from work because he was out drinking. Then Pearl said she woke up, it would have been Sunday morning at 3 a.m., to sounds of a fight, and her mother saying, wait, I'll call Schlappig, which is, like, his name's got to be said a different way. Lloyd, she meant. When Pearl got up and the next morning the porch had blood spots on it, she was curious what happened, and she never saw her father again.
Oh, boy.
So there's a lot to unpack here. Police think that Howard returned Saturday night. That's when he and Lloyd proceeded to get in a fight on the front porch. Then Howard's body was taken by car about 1.5 miles from the house and left in the cornfield.
Okay. And, like, posed as a robbery.
Yeah. If that's the case, why did Pearl hear sounds of a fight so long after Howard went missing when Lloyd already had returned with blood on him? This was my first question. And did the men get in a fight in town? And then Howard came back to continue the fight? to explain why he had blood on him, or was Howard already dead?
Oh, man.
It's confusing, the timeline and what Pearl heard.
It is, yeah.
Even more curious is the fact that Howard, who had apparently a great attendance record, was said to not show up to work Saturday.
Ugh.
So then how does that affect the timeline? Now, Lloyd, who is described as, quote, a country youth, large and husky for his age.
Oh.
He's 23. Why are we still saying for his age?
I guess
Aren't you
'cause
full
he's-
grown?
I mean, yeah, but yeah, and if he's been working on the farm for a while, like, yeah, he's gonna be a big boy.
Well, it drives me nuts that they call him a youth.
Well, you know how
I
we
don't
like to
think
treat our
he's
boys.
a youth. Lloyd had been overheard by a business owner to say the following about Howard before his body was found. Did you hear about Wyning? They killed him and laid him in the field. He has a big gash in the back of his head and they pulled his coat over the top of it. Now, I don't know if he said that. Comments like that are tough. I feel like people make up stuff. Who knows if that's actually what he said? Who knows if people got the timeline wrong? If he said that, that's very weird considering he was still missing, right? That's suspicious. According to Lloyd, that Saturday, he took Howard and Edna into town in the car. So he took them in the morning, both of them. He typically dropped
Okay.
Howard off at what they call the trolley. So I assume just that would
Yeah.
take him to work from there. But that Saturday, he took the couple to the grocery store instead because Edna had to buy groceries, and then Lloyd brought her home, and Howard went to work. Later that afternoon, Lloyd returned to pick up Howard at the same stop he always does, but Howard was not there. Lloyd drove around asking about him, only to find out that Howard had gone drinking, and he was unable to locate him. Lloyd returned home, had not heard or seen from Howard until his body was discovered. He got in the car accident on the way home. Howard was known for going drinking for a day or two. That wasn't unusual for him.
Oh
So
my
that was
God.
Lloyd's story. The police did not believe Lloyd's story. They searched Lloyd's car for further evidence, and they found traces of blood and human hair in several locations.
Oh boy.
So this country youth is in trouble.
Yeah.
Just a few days later, Lloyd changed his entire story. Now, maybe it's because he saw the writing on the wall. But he tells investigators he must confess. Because, are you ready?
Oh, here comes the silly part.
He is being haunted
Oh boy.
by Howard, and he can't take it another minute. The Reading Times published the following excerpts of Lloyd's account. Every night since the murder, I was in a living hell. I could not sleep nor eat through fear. I could not sleep because of the harrowing nightmares which would sweep over me and rack my very bones as I lay in bed. He went on to say that since the murder, he'd have to have a lantern in his room at all hours because every night, quote, as I lay on the bed in the still of the night, he would come into my room. He would walk around the room, stare at me, and point his finger accusingly at me as I lay in bed.
Bro, I would die.
Lloyd described the apparition as a white mist taking the shape and form of Howard. Each time he appeared, Lloyd would hurry out of bed to catch him, but as soon as Lloyd reached for him, the spirit would disappear. If Lloyd didn't chase the apparition, it would simply move to a different part of the room, each time staring through Lloyd, raising his hand and pointing. The ghost of Howard never spoke once. When Howard wasn't haunting Lloyd in his bedroom, he would pace in the attic right above Lloyd's head. Lloyd said he tried as hard as he could to convince himself it was all in his head, but no matter what he did, he stated that Wyning's ghost would come before me every night, always in the same form at the same time. He would haunt me all during the night and was slowly driving me crazy. Before all of this, Lloyd had attempted to leave the farm, hoping that Howard would just not follow him, but Edna begged for him to stay. Along with his admission of Howard's otherworldly existence, Lloyd also told a new version of what happened that night. That Saturday in question, July 21st, Lloyd took Edna and Howard into town. That was true. He brought Howard to work and Edna to the store. Then he returned home just like he said. That afternoon, Lloyd returned to pick up Howard, who was waiting for him at the usual stop. But Howard was mad. He'd been presented with a bill for $1.35 to repair something on Lloyd's car and told the garage that Lloyd was not allowed to use his tab for any more charges.
$1.35.
Well, I mean, it's the
I
20s.
guess that's what, like $23?
No, I think it'd be worth more this time. This made Lloyd mad because the arrangement had always been that Howard would pay for gas and repairs if Lloyd agreed to drive Howard and Edna wherever they wanted to go. That was the deal.
Yeah.
On the way home, the two men continue to argue about this, and it becomes so heated that Howard, who's sitting in the back seat, hit Lloyd in the back of the head while he was driving.
Whoa.
Lloyd pulled the car over, grabbed Howard, and hit his head against the car several times.
Hey.
Ready? Howard was bleeding profusely, but still alive. Lloyd paused and hit Howard's head against the car again, and then threw Howard in a ditch.
Shit.
Lloyd is now covered in blood. He took off his shirt and he threw it into the woods. He got back in the car, returned to the farm. He washed up, had dinner with the family, telling them that Howard was being held because he'd been drunk in town. Later that evening, he left the home for a few hours before returning to the scene. Howard was still alive.
What?
Lloyd put him in his car, carried him down the road, where he then dragged the body by the ankles for 40 feet. He robbed Howard of any money he had in his pockets, which was just over $3, and then he left him for a second time. He denies any romantic relationship with Edna or Pearl, because that's floating around too, as people have said, at this time. After his confession, Lloyd has a full dinner and a restful night's sleep for the first time in weeks.
Oh, it's just guilt, and it does things to your brain.
Well, I like to think you can get justice no matter what life cycle you're at. Another consequence to Howard's ghostly visits is the following morning, Edna was charged as an accessory to the crime. The DA claimed that Edna had also broken down and confessed to being involved, stating that she was not part of the murder, but that Lloyd did tell her about it, and she helped move the body. She was rumored to have told Lloyd that's the best thing that could have happened.
Oh.
However, she did not know the final resting place of Howard because she swears she only helped Lloyd load him back in the car from the side of the road, and then she went straight home.
But he was still alive at that point, right?
Well, here we go. Now, this confession took a while to get because Edna entered the interrogation cool, calm, and collected, but investigators noticed that there were some discrepancies in her story. And she, quote, told of relations between Schlappig and herself. Whatever, I assume that means they were together?
Confabbing.
I told you before they'd asked about Pearl because another newspaper said Pearl had said her and Lloyd were quite intimate. What does that mean? Sometimes they use intimate, as just meaning they talked a lot in this time period. So I'm not sure what they were getting.
Yeah,
I need more details. I need them to be more clear about confabulating.
How old is Pearl?
14.
Oh.
Yeah. But Edna denied any knowledge or involvement vehemently until they brought Lloyd in, apparently. And then Lloyd pulled a Howard and just pointed at her and told her, but he spoke. He said, "Tell the truth, Edna." And then eventually she apparently said, "I did help to put him in the machine, but that was all." So Lloyd isn't done there.
Oh, gosh.
He later tells officials that Edna had approached Lloyd in June asking him to get his hands on some poison. And if not that, then any method of murder would do.
Whoa.
It's worth noting, Lloyd initially did not mention Edna at all. But after his ghostly confession, the police retraced Lloyd's steps the night of the murder, ending at the dumping site where Lloyd broke down crying and said he wanted to tell the full truth. And that's when he started talking about Edna.
Oh, okay.
The small detail of if Howard was dead when Edna became involved also comes into play legally, because if the DA could prove that Howard had still been alive, then Edna may be charged as more than just an accessory after the fact.
Oh.
Right? If you remember, Edna has 8 children at home, ranging from teenage to baby. Because of this, the police delay her arrest until accommodations could be made for them to go to homes.
Okay.
Except for Pearl, who is already being kept separate from her mother in what they call an institution, just somewhere safe to keep her because they don't want her story to change if she's around Edna.
Yeah.
This delay seems to confuse Edna a little bit, thinking she's not really in trouble, and she doesn't seem to understand that she might be going to prison for 20 years. A few weeks later, at the end of August, the weird misfit gang appears in court for the inquest. Edna has still not officially been arrested, but Lloyd, crazy. Edna, and Pearl are all there together.
Okay.
The Reading Times writes, Mrs. Wyning gazed longingly at Schlappig as did her daughter, a faint smile showing on the former employee's face as he saw them. So they're definitely trying to hint at this weird.
Yeah.
It's not even a triangle because you got to add Howard into the mix too. It's a weird, creepy square. I don't
Weird, creepy
I
square.
don't know if that's true. And for every courtroom appearance we've covered, there's always so much focus on what the ladies are wearing,
Yes, always.
but all eyes are on Lloyd, who,
Oh.
quote, was dressed in a dark green suit, his own, which he had brought from the farm yesterday. He wore an immaculate white shirt with a neat little bow tie.
Oh.
His vest was buttoned and his coat flapped as he walked.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wind. On the right lapel, he wore an emblem. He wore black socks and low black shoes.
Okay.
Down to the socks we care about Lloyd's appearance.
Yeah.
Edna, if you're wondering, wore a black dress and was summed up a little bit more succinctly as neat and plain.
Okay.
But she also had black socks on. The inquest, remember, is to determine if a trial should proceed with the evidence that they have.
Right.
The men who found Howard were first on the stand. Hearing about the gruesome discovery was a little not great for Lloyd.
No.
Yeah, and the state of Howard's body, where vultures had attacked it,
Oh.
made Lloyd so nervous that he started sweating profusely in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Edna started crying. Edna was next on the stand, but only to confirm that it was in fact Howard. That's all she was asked and all she said. The medical examiner who had conducted the autopsy after foul play was suspected did confirm they believed the cause of death was a skull fracture.
Okay. From the car, probably.
From Lloyd hitting his head against the bar in the car.
Yeah.
Witnesses from town also testified. And they're basically backing up Lloyd's final confession, at least those details where other people were around, because Lloyd and Howard were seen in town getting gas for the car. So I think Howard probably did go to work that day or he spent the day drinking. I don't think anything happened to Howard until that afternoon.
Okay.
Howard was sitting in the back of the car. Howard paid for the gas as well as the bill on the account. All of this, along with the confessions, the charges were upheld. First-degree murder for Lloyd and accessory after the fact for Edna. Lloyd is in jail this entire time. Edna's not arrested until September, and then the trial is postponed until December.
Oh, okay.
But before the trial begins, on December 12th, Lloyd enters a plea of guilty, and he was sentenced to a maximum of 16 years and a minimum of 8 for second-degree murder.
Second degree is because it's not planned.
Right.
Okay. Because it's a passion kill. Isn't that so weird to think about? Like, it's just different degrees. But I mean, you get it. But
Yeah.
It just seems silly.
Yeah. I think he probably pled not guilty so that he'd get the second-degree charge rather than the first.
Yeah.
Now it's being said that the motive was not the disputed auto bill that Howard apparently paid, but an argument regarding how Howard treated his family.
I mean, alcoholics don't have the best reputation for treating people well.
Here, Lloyd also admitted that he and Edna were, quote, on intimate terms. What?
They banging!
But that's what Pearl said about him. I'm very confused. Also, a little bombshell is dropped in this sentencing article that states Edna is out on bail because guess what? She's pregnant.
Oh!
Yeah.
We're in a soap opera now.
I think with Lloyd's child.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
9, here we come.
This means that Edna will not be brought to trial until June.
To have the baby.
Yeah. And when she is in court, she will have her new baby girl, Phoebe, in her arms. And when June rolls around, she will have a very different story.
Oh, shit.
Quote, they made me say it. They dogged me until I said I helped Schlappig hide the body, but I didn't. Edna is saying, through tears, for what it's worth, and she's also now being described as comely rather than plain, which is a word I hate, number one. And two, I swear, if you just cry a little,
they
fawn all over you.
I'm screwed.
Edna is completely denying any involvement and recants her previous statements. She says Lloyd returned home that day alone, said he'd been in an accident, and that Howard was in town drunk. Again, it's not unusual for Howard to do this. So Edna was not surprised. After dinner, Lloyd said he was going to go to a doctor because he didn't feel well from the accident. She said, it's too late, don't leave, you're fine. But he did anyway, and he returned in about an hour. 4 of Edna's daughters, her sister, and some other family members backed Edna up, saying she did not leave the house that night.
Do you think they all got together over a Christmas dinner and talked this out?
I mean, maybe, or maybe Lloyd's lying.
Okay.
He's a loose cannon, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Lloyd is brought in as a witness from jail, and now he too has changed his story.
Mm-hmm.
He still claims that Edna helped him, but he adds additional details that make her seem even more involved.
Oh.
Saying Edna promised him Howard's clothes, part of the life insurance payout if he hid the body, all of this stuff.
Really trying to involve her more.
Yeah, making it seem like this was her plan.
Yeah.
And it comes into question when Edna attempted to collect the life insurance. That will come into question later. The life insurance agent also testifies. But Lloyd is also saying that he brought Howard home. So they got in this fight in the car.
What?
He brings Howard home. He says after the fight, this is a quote, he, meaning Howard, was drunk, and I took him to the kitchen and I sat him in a chair. I wanted to take him to a hospital, but Mrs. Wyning wouldn't let me. She said, let him suffer. He has been cruel to me. Well, don't you think the 8 children would have noticed their dad bleeding in the corner?
Right.
Don't you think that would have been I mean, maybe Pearl is farm savvy enough to say, I'm not talking about this. And nobody else should either.
Yeah,
So everybody zip it up. But that seems unlikely.
No, I don't think so. I mean, we're talking about like 5-year-olds who like can't keep their mouth shut.
That's
about
what I'm
shit.
saying. Like, I have a hard time believing this. Lloyd also said that around 9 p.m., the 2 of them then decided to move the body. But the papers did note that Lloyd really struggled during this cross-examination. He was now tripping over details that had previously been agreed upon.
I mean, it's a long time since the 2 confessions, you know?
No, previously in that same trial.
Oh.
You know, he had said one thing before, and then when the
Jeez.
defense asked him a question, he had it backwards.
Oh, okay. That's even worse.
He also could not name all 8 of the Wyning children, even though he'd
What?
lived there for 2 years.
And definitely, like, you know, help change some nappies and stuff.
Oh, definitely he did not.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it's the 20s. But they described him as just all over the place.
Uh-oh.
And he was trying to throw Edna under the bus even more. An agent from the life insurance company testified that Edna and Lloyd came to the office before the body was found and said that Howard had died from alcohol poisoning. Edna denies this. She says that they went after Howard was found. The insurance agent admits he can't actually remember. He's just going off the date that he wrote down in his notes.
Okay. I mean, this is tough.
I know, it really is. I could see both sides.
Yeah.
I could see her trying because she needs the money desperately. But also her trying to do that doesn't mean that she helped in any way. Maybe Lloyd just confessed to her and she just didn't tell. That's also a possibility. I don't know. To Edna's credit, the stenographer who was present during her confession and interrogation claimed that after 2 hours, Edna said, quote, they all say I helped. If I can go back to my children, I'll say I helped. The DA then said, I just want you to tell the truth. And Edna said, I helped. So it could have very well been that after 2 hours and her worrying about just getting back. And we've heard that before where they just say, if you just tell us this, you can go. If you just tell us this, you can go. If you just tell us this, you can go. And then she finally like, all right, I'll tell you. Geez, let me out. That's possible. That's what the stenographer said happened. After only a day-long trial, the jury of 10 men and 2 women deliberated for about 90 minutes. And then they returned the verdict of not guilty. Upon hearing the news, Pearl broke down crying, and others soon followed, but Edna seemed stunned for a few minutes before tears of relief overtook her. After the trial, Edna was reported to move in with her father. Remember, all the children have been placed, which is heartbreaking.
Wait, she's not getting them back?
But most of them come and live with her father, except for a few of the older kids who had been placed in homes. They might be working at that point.
Yeah.
In 1926, there's a brief mention of Lloyd being approved for work outside the prison with a labor gang.
Oh.
Which people aren't happy about, but I couldn't find anything on when or if he was released.
Wow.
Edna lived to be 82 years old until 1974.
Wow.
In her obituary, she was listed as the widow of Howard Wyning and mother of 8 children. I did not see Phoebe listed.
What?
She might have given her up for adoption.
Oh.
Or she could have not survived. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of possibilities. She'd retired 13 years prior to her death and had found work at Melbrook Knitting Plant. At the time of her death, she was a grandmother to 21 children,
Whoa.
42 great-grandkids, and 6
Fuck.
great-great-grandkids.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and her family loved her. I found some memorial messages too from her family in the 70s and maybe even the 80s. But I don't know if the names just weren't listed in the obituary or Phoebe changed her name. She had also suffered the loss of one of her adult children.
Oh.
So since I never knew
That's
their
awful.
original names, it's hard to say how they were counting it. But
Yeah.
she definitely moved
Wow.
on with her life. First, the crime part. What do you think? Do you think Lloyd was guilty? Do you think Edna was guilty?
I think that probably Howard was a bad husband.
Yeah.
And Edna wanted out. And she probably, Edna and Lloyd were definitely as a man and a woman.
Yeah, they were confabulating.
There's no doubt. And I'm sure like she, like in their quiet moments are like, I wish Howard would go away. And like maybe she did get specific around like poison or other types of murder. Cause like, when you're up against a wall like that and stuck in a marriage, that could be really hard. And so I could see her being somewhat involved, but the fact that Lloyd was like kind of tripping up over stuff makes me think like, he definitely did all of the things.
Yeah, he's guilty, 100%. Howard, perfect justice here. Way to go, Ghost Howard.
Figment of guilt.
Your face, Alana's face. Face is so mad at me right now. But yes, Lloyd for sure. And I really don't know. I think it's very possible. I don't think she was involved in planning the murder at all. I think it's very possible she knew and was just felt like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
Honestly, like who's going to believe me? What's going to happen? And she was just trying to, at that point, keep her family intact.
Right. It'd break everything apart.
But there's also a possibility she didn't know. And Lloyd was just blaming her because why would he need her to move him? He's at this point has moved him by himself already.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's the one who took him out of the car and put him in the ditch the first time.
A big husky boy.
That's right. So why would she even need to be there? And Edna's never, I don't think she's ever described physically, but I feel as if Edna was 6'5" and just a very strong woman,
right.
I feel like it would have been mentioned.
Yes.
So she's probably not. And it just doesn't make sense.
I think she knew about it, but I don't know if she helped.
But I also feel, is that an appropriate charge for her to be an accessory to murder if she knew about it?
What is the obstruction of justice?
Yeah, obstruction of justice. Yeah.
That's the better charge, in my opinion.
She also had a ton of people who said she never left the house. Like, granted, they all are family, so yes. But I still,
that's credible.
I think it's hard to get kids to lie at certain ages.
Yeah, but what if you tell them like your mom will go to jail and you never see her again?
Maybe.
Don't you think they'd do it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oof.
Howard didn't haunt Edna. Okay, Edna had no problems, and she lived a full life
because she didn't feel guilty about it.
Yeah, she lived a full life because I don't think she did it. She lived a full life. That's what happened. She was loved by her family.
Yeah.
She has a ton of grandkids, great-grandkids.
So she never remarried?
No.
Interesting. You're in your 30s and hopefully she had some dates and one-night stands.
Well, after that's going to be hard to like come back from.
Yeah, but a woman has needs.
Oh, gross. Don't say that. Ugh. Yuck. I'm so grossed out. That's the grossest thing. That's the spookiest thing you've ever said on these Halloween episodes. Get out.
Oh,
I didn't say she didn't date. I just said she didn't get married.
Yeah. She's on Tinder, for sure.
I'm not a fan of Lloyd. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. I want to know his background. Like, where the hell did he come from? Does
down
he
the
have
street.
any family?
Yeah, his parents lived down the street.
What did they think?
I don't know. They didn't say.
Stay with your parents. That probably would have gone better.
I don't think we can possibly understand what dating must have been like at that time when you live in a place where transportation and telephones
are. And also when you're 30, what was she, 32?
33, I think, and he was 23.
Today, being in your 30s is almost like being in your 20s, and then is like 30s is your 50s.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the fact that she had 9 children is enough to have...
Right? What?
I'm done.
Fuck. I'm the same age and no.
Yeah. That's the story of Howard's ghost. And I know you're poo-poo everything I say.
The mind is a crazy
I like to think that the ghosts can get some cases solved. Like last year we did Teresita Basa.
Oh, that was cool.
This year, Howard Wyning. I hope the Wyning family moved past it and all the kids
Yes. Amen,
did great.
sister.
It seemed that they loved their mother, so whatever did happen,
Yeah.
they felt like she did no wrong.
Yeah.
All right, so what are your last words?
Oh, geez. Count to 10 when you're angry.
I don't know if that's gonna cut it.
I mean, if he counted to 10, he might not have bashed his head into a car.
Well, if he had moved out of the house and stopped sleeping with his wife.
I know, but it's anger control. Like, here's the thing. Anger is still an emotion. I know sometimes we don't like to pretend it is, but it's an emotion, and you need emotional control. Do what you need to do and get control of your emotions, because otherwise you might murder somebody. And then their ghost will haunt your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
As the form of guilt. I mean, behind the scenes.
Yes, as an otherworldly apparition that we couldn't possibly measure in any scientific capacity. Exactly.
No. As an outcome of horrendous guilt of murdering another soul. Yeah, so like count to 10, maybe get the Calm app. They do not sponsor us, but they could.
I don't know that Lloyd had access to the Calm app.
Yeah, and not really encouraged emotional control back then either. But I'm just saying, deep breaths. Arguments are hard, but you can get through it without violence. And also birth control. Emotional control, birth control, baby. All day long.
Yeah, those are two things that were not really accessible.
Correct.
But now they are.
Now they are. So
there you go.
Live, laugh, love.
Okay. And who should listen?
Farmers, domestic servants. There's not really any. Why are you laughing at me?
Sorry. I thought you said farters.
Farters as well.
Which is a wide audience.
It is a wide audience. Maybe some of the cows while the farmers are listening. That'd be nice. So, like, don't put in earbuds. Factory workers, husbands and wives, people struggling with alcohol, and let's throw in some butterflies.
All right. Yeah. There you go. Well, you can find us on all the platforms at
Teatime Crimes.
You can email us at
teatimecrimes@gmail.com.
Please rate, review, like, subscribe, send us recommendations for teas and crimes.
Send us past that 35 review mark, please. Thanks.
And we'll be back next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Ooh, Howard's going to come say hi to you tonight in your dreams.
No, he's not.